Welcome to the We Are All God podcast, where the inner journey is simplified. I'm Erin Werley.
And I'm Philip Werley.
And you are more powerful than you've ever imagined. I'm really excited to talk about high vibrational foods today and high vibrational diet. And I was just talking to a private client recently about the word diet, because the word diet has all of these connotations around it, like restriction and limiting yourself and being good or bad, right?
Yes.
But that's not what diet originated as. Originally, it was just what you eat is your diet. That is what you bring into your body, that's your diet. And so when I say high vibrational diet, I don't mean this is how high vibrational people restrict themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how high vibrational people interact with food, drink, all of it, right? So this is a question I get so often in my programs, especially Quantum Lightwork Academy, is I feel a desire to change the way I eat the higher I go vibrationally, but I'm not quite sure what I should be eating. And I watched this from this person and this from this other person, these different spiritual teachers, and this one said this and this one said this. How do I know? And first of all, for me, where I am now, I can see very clearly that if there's a spiritual teacher telling you should eat a specific way, you should run in the other direction, because that's not how any of this works. And I see a lot of very popular spiritual teachers doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a huge red flag. There's no need to get into that. But the fact of the matter is that as we progress on our inner journey in moving to more of an ascended place, we're going to be called to different versions of a diet. And we're going to have, just like we have so many different learning steps along the way, on our journey to where our soul is meant to go in this lifetime, we're going to have many different types of foods that we are called to bring into our system, and then sometimes also release from our system. And this is all normal. This is all good. And if you're doing it sort of quote unquote right, you'll be doing it in a way that allows you to strengthen your own inner knowing and own inner intuition. Now, what this is going to look like for everyone is sort of different, but essentially the pattern is you are trusting that what you're eating now doesn't feel good to your body anymore, isn't bringing you that feeling of being nourished. And so what is it that your body is asking for? And interestingly, you just fasted, and let's talk about your journey there in a second. But first, if you can trust when your body is saying what you're taking in now is not a match, and say, okay, well, what is my body craving? Sometimes though, you can't tell. Sometimes your body is like cookies and sugar, and that's what you think is going on. And so you're trying to give your body, well, if that's what my body wants, I guess that's what I'll take. And so sometimes if you can't clearly hear or feel your body's cues, you need to give yourself a break, like fasting, or even if it's not water fasting, like juice fasting or something, so that you can clear out your system and come to a place of emptiness where you can receive the next guidance, essentially. Right? And if you do that, you'll be led to what's next for you. Now, our journey with food has been really, really interesting, because we when we met, we were both vegan.
Yep.
I was led to being vegan because I felt awful. Most of my teenage years, I felt just heavy and unwell. And I drank like 3 glasses of milk a day, and very much like a standard American diet. And I didn't know there was another way. And then I just started wanting less of meat and all of those things. So I became vegan, and I noticed this huge lift almost immediately within the first few days. I felt so much better because I followed where I was being led. When I met you, you were vegan, and that was so cool. And we were each individually vegan for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
We were together much of that time. But there came a time when we were like, oh my gosh, we're not nourished anymore.
Yeah, it stopped working at some point.
Yeah. And we were, just to be clear, we were very, very healthy vegans, like incredibly healthy vegans. It wasn't processed food for us. It was whole foods. It was all the vitamins and supplements and everything. We were giving ourselves everything that we quote unquote needed, but we were getting, as the years went on, more and more depleted. And eventually our bodies called us to add back in meat. And almost instantly, just like we had when I became vegan, almost instantly when we added meat back in after that 10, 12-year period, I felt incredible. It was like, oh, I've been missing this for years. Okay. And the idea that when you find something that works for you with food, that you're meant to stay with it forever is such a untruth. You are, just like with everything within your life and your energetic and physical system, your mind, you're meant to go with the flow. Maybe you're led to this for a short time and maybe it's forever, but can you notice the cues when you're being asked to release and step into the next thing? So let's talk about you deciding to water fast a few weeks ago.
I also want to say, like the being vegan worked for us. Just because it stopped working doesn't mean that it wasn't the right thing to do when we were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're on very different diets. You know, and we'll see how long this worked for us until it's no longer the right thing anymore. And I don't know why that is. You know, maybe that's how the human body is supposed to be. You know, but there's this idea out there that there's like a one diet, the perfect diet that everybody should be on, and nobody's ever found it. You know, it doesn't work. It works for some people and it doesn't work for others. You know, it works for this person for a while and then it doesn't work after a while. So I think that's a misconception that we have, and we have to lean into trusting our intuition to guide us to what exactly we need at that time. You know, so I did the water fast because I started feeling like crap. You know, and I was telling you, it's like I don't know what to eat. What I was eating wasn't making me feel good anymore. I remember saying to you, it's almost like I feel like I don't want to eat anything. And you're like, well, maybe you need to trust that. So I did, and I did a water fast for 8 days, and I did incredibly well on it.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I was so active. I've done them a couple times in the past, and they've always been really difficult. This time was like actually pretty easy.
I was shocked
and
how well you did on it.
I actually really enjoyed it, and I still did the grocery shopping. I still took the kids to school and everything.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I still cleaned up around the house,
so well.
and I wasn't eating for like 8 days. I didn't eat anything, and when we broke the fast, I felt great. I felt so good. I felt completely re-energized, and I felt like somebody had taken 10 years off my life, or like I was 10 years younger. That's what I mean. I felt like I was 10 years younger again, and I felt I had more energy, and I looked so much better. I remember looking in the mirror. I asked you, I was like, do I look better? Like my skin was just healthier. It had more color to it. Yeah, it really just revitalized me. It's like maybe this is something that we're supposed to do every so often, like an oil change, you know. But yeah, I feel so much better after that.
Well, you created a lot of space within you by holding that emptiness of not having food to process. Space was created within you, and it was really interesting as after your fast is over, we're creating so much more space in our home. We're releasing so much around here, and it feels so good and so spacious.
A lot energetically happened in that little period.
Yeah.
I don't know really what happened, but a lot of things have changed since then. around here.
Yeah, you
Feels so
have
much better.
changed on a fundamental level. And it's been really fascinating to watch. And yeah, our entire house seems to be changing with you, and it's really exciting.
And the
Like
kids too.
the
Kids are
kids,
doing
yeah.
so much better.
Since the water fast, we decided to bring Maddie home from school and homeschool her, and I have the space now to do that, which is something I didn't think was possible. It's like everything's just rearranging. Before, I was excited for her to go to this school, right? And now I am so excited for her to come home, and I can see that everything in my life since she's been born has been preparing me to homeschool her and go on that journey. And I couldn't see that a month ago. It all happened so quickly, but I trusted it. So just like when you trust what you're being called to eat, or in your case to fast, things move very, very quickly. Alignment happens very, very quickly. It's the same thing in all areas. Like, I just started having this nudge a few weeks ago. Oh, I think I'm supposed to homeschool, just out of nowhere. I didn't desire to homeschool. I had never thought about it before. I had been manifesting this amazing private school that she got into, and all of a sudden, just boom, dropped in homeschool. And so then you ended your fast. We started rearranging the house to hold a homeschool environment that would feel spacious and good. And it all happened, like, we redid the living room and playroom in 3 days. In the past, that would have taken us months.
Yeah.
It came together so easy. We didn't even have to buy anything. It was just rearranging. Like, it was so easy and aligned because I didn't fight it. I didn't say, well, that's not what I've been creating.
Right.
I never had this idea before. Where did it come from?
We followed where we're being led, and then it was really easy. It's like when
Yes.
you follow your intuition, follow where you're energetically being led, it's easy. When you try to fight it because you have these preconceived notions like, no, that's not what I wanted, that's not what I was trying to create, I'm trying to create this. So you're battling it, and everything gets the gears get all messed up.
Yeah.
That's what leads you on the path where you have these difficult lessons where things they keep not going your way because you weren't going down the path you were being led to. Like if we didn't follow your intuition and bring Maddie home, who knows what would happen at school? Something happened to make us bring her home or something,
Yeah.
So it's so important to follow your intuition and learn to allow it to guide you, and life becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
So much of those difficulties go away.
3 examples of that from yesterday.
Okay.
That I think we should talk about so people understand how quick this is meant to be. It's not this long thing. Okay, so number 1 is I was going to take Leo to the barber shop to have his haircut yesterday. And it was getting long and needed to be cut. And I had it on my list. I told the kids we're going there, in a few hours, got them ready and prepared that was happening. Leo was excited because he gets a Matchbox car. The barber shop that we go to gives him a Matchbox car after his hair is cut. So he's excited. He can't wait to go get his hair cut. And it's time to take the kids, and all of a sudden I start feeling so heavy and exhausted. And I'm like, I had to go lay down, turn off the lights, and be like, and just start processing, where is this heaviness coming from? Why am I feeling completely drained of energy? And so I'm just doing some deep breathing and relaxing and opening up space within to sort of hear what's going on here. And it became very clear to me within a few minutes that I felt heavy around going to the barber shop, that everything in me was literally rebelling from that action. So I'm like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? I tried once before to cut his hair at home, and that felt like a disaster. I hated it. I had found a YouTube video by someone that was like a professional hair cutter, right? And I did it, and it was stressful, and I had to call you in to help me, and it was awful, right? And so that was my memory of cutting his hair at home. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But I can tell it's a hard no from within to go to the barber shop today. I also know that the next day was going to be the beginning of Mercury retrograde, and I don't want to get his haircut during Mercury retrograde because that's just not the best time to get, with planetary alignment, it's not the best time to get haircut. So I felt like the clock was ticking and this had to happen yesterday. So I Googled, how to cut a boy's hair. And this time I got a video from the Minimal Mom on YouTube. And I love her. She is incredible. She has helped us so much minimize around our house and just really simplify. And so I was so excited. I clicked on the video right away, and she described in 1 minute how to do the simplest boy's haircut. And I felt so empowered. I'm like, oh, I can do this. And she said something beautiful, like, it doesn't have to be perfect because their hair grows so fast that in 2 days it's gonna look good no matter what. And I was like, thank you, yes, let's do it. So I went and told Leo, Mom's gonna cut your hair. And Leo didn't like the sound of that at all because there was no longer a Matchbox car involved. So I said, but I knew it was a hard no from within. So I said, okay, Leo, this is what we're gonna do. They only get sugar once a week on Fridays. They both get to pick out one sugar treat, but that's it. The rest of the week, they don't have sugar. So I said, you and Maddie can both have a brownie if you let Mom cut your hair. So Leo was all in. He was like, let's go do it. He ran to the bathroom. He could not wait to have his hair cut. I followed the tutorial. It was so simple. I probably did it in 3 minutes. It looked amazing. He was so excited looking in the mirror.
You did a great job. It looked really good.
It looked amazing. It was so simple. And now I never have to deal with going to the barbershop again. And to be honest, I don't like getting my hair cut. You cut your own hair. I usually end up cutting my own hair as well because I don't like other people sort of strangers touching my head and stuff. And I feel like they're always rough with me. And I think that's because I am a very sensitive person. Energetically, I feel other people's energies and I don't want someone else touching my head. So it makes sense that it wasn't in alignment to let somebody else, a stranger essentially, be all up in Leo's energy field like that, because that is what is happening. You're giving someone access to your energy field or to your child's energy field. So after I did this, that feeling of being drained was completely gone. It was non-existent. I was up and about and feeling amazing again. So it's if you trust these inner feelings right away, things feel good again. But if you fight them, if I would have taken him to the haircutting place, no doubt it would have been a rough experience, at least for me energetically, and I would have come home and just been exhausted the rest of the day, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing yesterday was you came to me about an hour before your piano lesson, and tell me about that.
Oh, I wasn't feeling like going. It just didn't feel right. I didn't want to do that anymore. Yeah.
But you were basically in agony.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Because I decided I was going to do this. I already paid for it. I don't want to be a quitter and all this stuff. And but everything in me told me, no, stop going. So I was like, ugh, what do I do? Because I was I was feeling like I shouldn't do it, but rationally, logically, it's no, you committed to this. The right thing to do is to continue, and we eventually decided I was going to quit. So I called him, I quit, and he was so nice. He was such a nice guy, and he was really cool about it. And I felt great afterwards. And the interesting thing that you said to me was, just because you're quitting the lessons doesn't mean you're quitting on your commitment. It just means you're transitioning to something that's a better fit for you. I thought that was really insightful.
Yeah. It's this understanding. We were all programmed as children that if you stop doing something, you're a quitter, but sometimes there's guidance coming through of a better way to do it. And what you were saying really specifically was, I really would like to find an online piano program. right? That's what you wanted. That's what you knew in that moment. But the fear that was coming up around this is, it was twofold. Number one, I don't want to call the guy and let him know. That feels bad. It feels heavy. Number two is, I already paid for the entire month and I've only used one of the 4 lessons. It feels like I'm wasting money. Okay, so, and I'm like, well, this is great. So he's been paid for 3 additional lessons. So it makes it very easy for you to call him and release him, thank him so much and let him go. And this is perfect. You can do it with a clear heart. He's been paid in advance. Like, this is good. And you have a choice here. The choice is, number one, to agonize for this for weeks, keep going to something that's no longer in alignment and drag this heavy feeling around with you. Or take this heaviness that's on your chest right now and lift it, rip off the Band-Aid and call him and let him know. You called him and let him know, and how was that?
It was easy.
It was easy. So there's always, when we're releasing something that we're called to release, that the feelings inside of us are telling to release, there's going to be fears and doubts that come up. There are. They need to be dealt with and cleared so that you can move on. This isn't bad or wrong. It's the process of how taking the next steps unfolds for us. So the third thing that we experienced yesterday was, I decided that I wasn't going to wait another day to take Maddie out of school, that it was time. And so I wrote an email to the school, and that I was afraid to send it. And what's interesting is, over the previous few weeks while we were getting the house ready to homeschool her, I had already dealt with all of the fears that were coming up. One is, it's going to be on me to make sure that she is around other kids. And I was led to different groups and things that felt really, really good. That was a huge fear that came up. Another fear was, am I going to be able to do this? Can I find a good curriculum? And I found an amazing curriculum. So then last night, before I sent this email, the only thing that my system could find for me to worry about is, well, Erin, what if you die, right? What if you die? Who's going to teach her then? And so I said, well, okay, I understand that my system thinks it has to show me some sort of fear, and I'm not gonna let that hold me back. I know that I'm going to have a long, healthy life here. I've seen that, I believe it, I trust that. So I sent the email, and then I came out. The kids were already asleep. I came out and I sat with you on the couch and we talked, which is, now that we have more space, this is one of our new practices. Before bed, we sit together and talk, and it feels really exciting, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And anyway, it's like before the kids were born, we would talk nonstop to each other, but now we're creating more space so we can do that again. It feels really good. Anyway, I told you the only fear I could come up with was, what if I die? And what did you say?
I don't remember what I said.
You said something like, well, I don't think we need to worry about that. If it happens, then, I'll figure it out. But it's like, yeah, when that feeling of heaviness pops up for you, it's simply showing what needs to be released so you can move forward. It's not bad. And this all applies and ties in with our food journey so much. If we recognize when the food we are currently eating is not nourishing us anymore and take action on that, things will feel very good and aligned. There's a school of thought called intuitive eating, which is very much, you just eat whatever you're guided to intuitively, and you're eating slowly and with intention. And as soon as you feel satisfied, you stop eating. And in this way, people eat whatever it is they want. Now, that's not what I've been led to, at least at this stage in my journey. I've been led to a very specific diet where I eat the exact same thing every single day, and I feel better around my diet than I have in a long, long time. I also lost or released like 50 pounds over the last year, which was so incredible. And the cool thing about my current diet is I never experience hunger. I literally never experience hunger anymore. Or if I do experience hunger, then I know it's time to eat. I eat and then I'm full and satisfied. And that is so cool because I've never felt satisfied fully by the way I ate, I realized, my entire life, until I was guided to this way of eating this year, which for me, what I'm currently guided to is I eat about a half a stick of grass-fed butter every day. Throughout the day, you're giggling because to most people this would probably be absolutely outrageous, right? And it's like, well, also says the girl wearing the crystal and copper crown, right? So then for breakfast I have 2 eggs, and they're not like standard eggs because those tend to have a lot of things in them that are not very good. What are eggs? What are they? They're
like free range, like pasture range.
Yeah, like free range eggs. Yeah. So I have 2 eggs. I have a grass-fed hamburger, and then I have oatmeal with blueberries and peanut butter. That's breakfast. Lunch is usually just like a snack. Like I might have an apple or an orange and maybe a piece of bread and butter or a piece of bread and peanut butter. And then dinner is, and when I say a hamburger, like I'm not having bread with it. It's just the meat patty. And then dinner is, and everything's organic. We only eat organic because we started getting so sick from anything that wasn't organic. It was just our bodies letting us know it was time to move to that. And then dinner, I have 3 pieces of sourdough bread with butter and garlic, some tomato sauce that I dip it in, and another hamburger with some tomatoes. That's my diet, and it's incredibly satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's really cool never having to think about what I'm eating. Like I realize now that this has created so much space within me, because it used to be a constant question throughout the day, what do I eat? And if I was still hungry after I ate, then I'm agonizing, should I eat more? Should I not? Is this, and it all just feels so easy now. But I have to tell you, I had to say yes to this. There was a time when this felt scary and new and uncomfortable. And is this okay? Can I do this?
Yeah. You're being led to it, but you didn't know. You're like, this is not what everybody teaches,
Yeah.
But it's worked so well for you. You lost a lot of weight.
Oh, I feel incredible.
And you feel great.
I feel incredible.
Yeah, and you look great.
Yeah. And it's interesting because coming from seeing so many other spiritual teachers talk about the higher you go vibrationally, the more you're just going to want juice or something. And like, I've lived that life where I just wanted juice, and
We've gone through those phases.
Yeah, like I've experienced that. And I also know that it's sort of, you get depleted eventually. And it's possible I could get depleted on this eventually as well.
Eventually you might be led to something else.
Yeah, I don't know. And I understand though from this journey that we're all being led divinely in all areas of our life, including food. And the more we can trust what is right for us instead of what other people say is right for them. Like, I'm not advocating anybody copies down my diet and does it. I'm advocating you find out what your body is craving.
Yeah.
Because that is, our blueprints, our soul's paths are also unique. So unique. And if you copy somebody else's, you're just going to get lessons. This is all about, the inner journey is all about learning to recognize your own signals. And sometimes it's going to be from something you hear outside. Like somebody else is going to say, I've been doing this. And like this inner knowing is going to ping within you. Yes, 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 yes. I meant to do that too. And that's awesome. That's still your inner knowing, right? And the more, basically, if you want to get stronger at your inner knowing around food or anything else, it's simply taking those actions of trust and doing whatever you feel called to do, even though like often these are actions, like your family might be like, that's weird, why are you being weird? right? You have to be brave and take these actions that nobody else would take, that might in some ways alienate you, like because we only eat organic now, and that's because like our bodies basically demanded it of us. We haven't been to a restaurant in a couple of years because there are no restaurants, at least that we've been able to find in the US.
Would I trust even if they did say it was organic?
Yeah, right. Well, we it's funny, we used to eat out so much and do so much takeout, and there was that transition period where it was difficult not to do it.
That was just normal.
I couldn't imagine having somebody else cook for me. That doesn't feel good now that I think I'm like that. Why would I want somebody else's energy in my food? It's interesting. Everything does come back to energy. I really love, making our own food here at home. It feels good, but there was a time when it didn't. It's like if you trust those inner urgings, you're going to be led to the life that you're perfectly designed for, even if it's something you can't visualize or imagine yet. Like, you don't always have to see the big picture. It's okay to just trust on a day-by-day basis where those inner urgings are leading you.
Yeah, when you trust, you'll be led to some place that you wouldn't have thought of yourself.
Yeah.
This will be something way better than what you would have imagined if you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to plot this out.
Yeah.
What the universe has lined for you is better than what you ever would have plotted or planned.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a balance, because you have to have plans and you have to make, commitments and stuff like that, and like stick to some of the things you decided, but at the same time you also have to be divinely led. So it's like a balance.
Yeah. All right, well, definitely let us know if you have any questions about food, or if you'd like to hear another episode about food. Thank you for joining us for the We Are All God podcast, with new episodes dropping every Sunday morning. And remember, you are more powerful than you've ever imagined.